Avoiding your unfinished home projects because you're not sure where to start? Thumbtack knows homes, so you don't have to. Don't know the difference between matte paint finish and satin? Or what that clunking sound from your dryer is? With Thumbtack, you don't have to be a home pro. You just have to hire one. You can hire top-rated pros, see price estimates, and read reviews, all on the app. Download today.
This is a Monday.com ad. The same Monday.com designed for every team. The same Monday.com with built-in AI, scaling your work from day one. The same Monday.com with an easy and intuitive setup. Go to Monday.com and try it for free.
Let's check in on the Serta counting sheep.
Why aren't we counting anymore?
Well, the all-new Serta Perfect Sleeper has the Q4 support system that helps relieve aches and back pain.
We'll never get counted again.
Nope.
Serta, we make the world's best mattress.
You can support this podcast at patreon.com/partnersincrimemedia.
I'm Rebecca Lavoie, and this is Crime Writers On. Crime Writers On is the original true crime review podcast that digs into true crime, pop culture, other podcasts. And on this episode, American students abroad say a tour guide drugged and raped them. Why did it take years to stop him? We'll discuss the series The Predator of Seville from Netflix. Joining me to get that done and more is true crime author, TV journalist, and host of These Are Their Stories podcast, my husband and the love of my life, Kevin Flynn. Hello, Kevin.
Hello, Rebecca.
Also with us, private investigator, certified pet detective, resident cat lady, and author of the Piper Green series of cozy mysteries, Laura Bricker. Hi, Laura.
Hey, Rebecca.
And finally, all the way from Valencia, Spain, author of the City Trilogy, host of Rip Current, More Like Ancient Phalians, and the podcast soon to be a major motion picture, Strange Arrivals. It's Toby Ball. Que pasa, Toby?
Buenas, Rebecca.
So, Kevin,
Yes.
This is Thursday's program.
Yes.
What's coming up on next week's show?
Well, on next week, on Monday, we're going to talk about the series from Netflix. It's called Trust Me, The False Prophet. It's another FLDS documentary. This one's really interesting, though, because it follows two documentary filmmakers who were sort of embedded in the community, and they ended up trying to use their footage to take down a polygamist leader who had underage brides. And then a week from today, on Thursday, we'll talk about the new podcast from the AGC. It's called Who Blew Up the Guidestones? Do you know what the Guidestones are, guys?
No. Is it like the Stonehenge or something?
Yeah, it's like they're Stonehenge, and stuff happens. So it's an interesting little podcast.
So, Kevin?
Yeah.
Laura's got the sniffles. I keep running away to go to the bathroom. Should we just talk about the show we're supposed to be talking about?
We're falling apart. Let's do it.
All right. Leading off.
And it's like the thing that's haunted me for years. It's like that memory of just like the door swinging open and seeing his crotch come towards me, and then him putting himself in my mouth, and then me getting hit in the head, and then I just blacked out.
Gabrielle Vega said while on a student trip to Morocco in 2013, she was drugged and raped by the Spanish tour guide. As she worked through her trauma, she learned the charismatic Manuel Blanco had attacked other women on European excursions.
That's when I knew that what happened to me was happening to women for years after, and probably years before.
After Gabrielle told her story on television, scores of other women came forward with tales of assault. Armed with dozens of victim statements, but little physical evidence, Gabrielle pushed Spanish authorities to seek justice.
I spent so much of my life working on this, and then to see him on the stand for 15 minutes, almost laughing at points, contradicting himself, lying, saying he's never seen me in his life. Meanwhile, my whole life was almost destroyed because of it.
Netflix's The Predator of Seville features Gabrielle and other survivors who say they were attacked by Blanco, but the serial rapist tour guide never faced any consequences. It also follows Gabrielle as she navigates the Spanish court system in an uphill battle to hold Blanco accountable. Spoiler alert, we are going to be talking about plot points from The Predator of Seville. So if you want to remain spoiler-free, go to the estimated time code in our show notes for our thumbs up or thumbs down reviews. Now, I know for you, Toby, I am pronouncing Seville wrong, as we learn in the documentary. All these Spanish-speaking Americans say Sevilla, right? Toby, you live in Spain. Is the bureaucracy there as weird as it appears to be in this documentary?
Yes.
All right.
In a word,
Would
yes.
you want to be arrested there? Would you want to be arrested there, I guess?
Just even like documenting my payments, like getting paid for work that I do is such a freaking pain in the ass.
Oh, is it now?
The requirements that they have for like how you invoice people, and not that I even invoice you, but I have to create invoices to make it look like I'm invoicing somebody.
Oh,
and it has to have all this kind of information. It all has to be in Spanish, which I guess is fair since it's Spain. But but there is, there's just all this. It's complicated, and then people ignore some of it, but hew to some of it. And we've gotten more lawyers since we've been here just to help us deal with this stuff than we've had my entire life.
Right.
Living in the States. So it's a fearsome beast.
Yeah.
You have to handle with care for sure.
And as with Italy, Toby, we learned that if you're acquitted, they can appeal your acquittal.
Yeah.
Like, I can't even wrap my head around the idea of like going on trial for a crime, being acquitted, and then them being like, let's just try again.
Like Amanda Knox?
Yeah, just like Amanda Knox. It's completely wild.
Well, you see like the footage they show of the actual trial seems so like sort of casual. Like the guy just kind of sits down, says his piece. It's like, you can ask me questions and that person can ask me questions. She cannot ask me questions. And he picks who gets to ask him questions, and then he answers them. And she's like, "Okay, you can go back and sit in the galley." He walks back there, and he's not like dressed nicely. I mean, he's not even business casual, I would say, but his hair looks awesome.
Toby, he literally manspreads the entire time he's giving his testimony.
The whole thing just doesn't have this like sense of gravitas about it. It seems like he's being brought before like a school disciplinary committee for some reason, and it was very strange.
He's like one of those neighbors from Neighbors where he's going to the planning board to bitch about the chickens next door.
It's like, dude, you're a serial predator. Like, this is not like a joking matter. You gotta like pull yourself together.
Maybe don't dress like one.
I know, exactly. The vibe is not good for you.
So, Laura, our protagonist in this documentary is Gabrielle Vega, who is a victim who basically makes it her side quest in her life to put the word out about this guy and then lead the charge in taking him down, navigating the Spanish criminal legal system and all that stuff.
The last night of the trip, he was like, "Oh, well, I can get champagne and we can all hang out in the room." I started getting really tired. I woke up the next morning. That's when I realized what had happened.
I looked into her a little bit. Her father owns a consulting firm and she works for him. So I suppose her employer was gracious enough to allow her this extra time to do this. But the thing I love about her is she swears like a fucking sailor.
Oh, yeah.
And the entire time I was watching her, I was like, Laura and I could have a little wine with this girl. What did you think?
Yes. Oh, that was exactly what I was thinking. I was like, I would definitely hang out with her in real life. She seems like somebody I already hang out with. I was like, not only do we swear as much, she's on a quest for justice. Also, I really loved her house. I was like...
Or the house they filmed in. Yeah, that was gorgeous.
Yeah, the house they filmed in Montana. I was like, whoa, I love the light and the windows in this house. But I appreciated that in the beginning, she wasn't going to report this. And then when she tells her parents and she's like, okay, this happened. And then she puts out the word on social media and starts seeing how many other young women had a very similar experience. She doesn't just like try to get this to move forward. She creates like this spreadsheet where she's like tracking like name, date, what happened, where it was, all the information about all these other people. She's basically doing the work of a police investigator. As she's going along, you're thinking, this person is determined. And then I'm thinking, gosh, this is going to be really frustrating if whatever disconnect there is between our legal system and their legal system doesn't make a difference after she's done all this work. But I think this was pretty much like a straight true crime retelling, except it really did a good job by having somebody like her at the center. And she was a very relatable protagonist to tell this story. And the work she did was so substantial. And this documentary really allowed us to get a sense of everything she did to get this where it eventually had some resolution. And I liked at the end, she kind of compared herself to like a mule, and she was going to get a mule named Gabby. And she's going to look at the mule and be like, something stubborn and loving and is full of fucking perseverance. And I was like,
yeah,
yes, sirree. That's my new motto in life right there.
Right.
Yeah. Like I will live by that mantra.
So Kevin, do you think this documentary benefits from having a central figure like Gabrielle, who also happens to be a very good storyteller.
Yeah. I mean, she's good at telling her story in very, sort of plain, understandable way, right? There are worse things to be than a victim who isn't fantastic at telling their story in front of a camera, right? We see a lot of this, and that doesn't really mean anything in the world, except for when it comes to what a documentarian can do. And I don't feel like Gabrielle was just sort of like merely there to check the box of, hearing from the victim and, just waiting till they can pan into the tears on her face, right? For this documentary, she makes for a good narrative. I'll say that it felt, and all the victims here, the way they told their story so well that you don't realize that, when you've been listening to Gabrielle, like, talk for actually a long period of time, but the story keeps being propelled forward, right? And she's doing that. And so that is the benefit, is the documentarian, benefit of being a good interview and good editing.
Yeah. Well, what I liked about this documentary was that we didn't just have shots of women crying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is so tropey in shows like this, where it really belies the resilience of many people who can, after years have gone by, they can have experienced trauma. They can also have control of their narrative, and they can tell it without a director just waiting for them to get as sad as they can possibly get and then using that shot. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that none of them did cry, because some of them didn't. And I'm not saying that there's anything right or wrong about it. What I don't like is when it seems as if that is, for lack of a better word, the money shot for a filmmaker. Mm-hmm. And that wasn't the case here. I mean, I was really impressed by the filmmaker's willingness to just let her be her. And the swearing honestly had a lot to do with that, because I could imagine it being okay, guys.
It had the feeling of strength as opposed to the feeling of grief.
I completely agree. And we heard people who swear a lot are smart. So fuck that.
Fuck that.
So Laura, this guy seems to be a true serial predator. It seemed like almost every tour that he was targeting somebody and then, trying to sexually assault them or sexually assaulting them. Didn't that seem that way? What did you think about that? Because these really are girls, young women who are in a situation that they're sold as safe.
Well, I think the number of victims that came forward in this case was pretty jaw-dropping. We've heard about cases before where we have somebody that's, got multiple victims. But this was what did they say? Almost 50 women came forward? That is not an insignificant number.
The main tour guide seemed like a nice guy.
He was handsome. He knew everyone.
A playful personality.
Todas nosotras éramos muy vulnerables y no nos dimos cuenta de eso, pero Manuel lo veía.
Some of them were drugged and had friends that were like, hey, we're not going to leave you, which was kind of that code when you were in college, hey, we're not going to leave so-and-so when they get drinking because we don't know what's going to happen to them. And you had that one girl that was getting sick in the bathroom, and her friends came and were like, nope, she's going with us. Because he's like, no, I'll take her home or whatever. So I think the fact that there was a warning issued by the U.S. Embassy because of the magnitude of this was also kind of gives you a moment for pause. Okay, this is significant. But how did this go on so long before all of these women were able to coalesce around Gabrielle, who's able to be this clearinghouse for all of this information? It kind of made me really wonder about the background of this guy a little bit more. I know we saw him, he's pretty boy and all this stuff, but I kind of wanted to know what had happened prior to this tour company. What else had happened in his life? Because you don't just start with this. There's got to be something else back there. I just felt I wanted a little more context, but just the number of women was astounding.
I was not surprised to hear that so many other women came forward, because I think there's a phenomenon that happens where there's a perception of safety with somebody who runs a thing, and that everybody is partying with her. Everybody's like, this is just, but it's got to be safe. It's got to be, because we paid to do it. And this guy does this every day. And so when one of them...
That was in the advertising, right? A safe trip.
Yeah. So when one of them, say, ended up in a situation with him alone, and then they had sex against her will, or she was passed out, or she wakes up the next morning and realizes she was assaulted, there's probably a sense of like, it had to be me. Like I might be the only one because otherwise it can't be this all the time because otherwise this business wouldn't work. This guy wouldn't have this job. And so I think that there's a sense of shame and fear that comes from that. But Toby, you've said something on a past show that resonated with me when I was watching this documentary. It's like, do predators sometimes intentionally do jobs that put victims in their way? Do you think that was the case here?
Yeah, it's interesting. I hadn't really thought about it, but I think so. That was a Harvey Weinstein thing, I think, where somebody had said the women weren't like a byproduct of his being in Hollywood. Like that was why he did his job, was to get access to them.
Right.
He's got it set up, right? I mean, it's just this constant churn of new women. And like you said, there's a dynamic that's set up where for a long time, despite the fact that he was assaulting a lot of women, nobody was coming forward.
Yeah, Blanco seems to check a lot of the boxes of a sexual predator targeting young women because he's not only put himself in this position where he has access to beautiful young women who have too much to drink. I mean, he was always sort of like this charismatic life of the party guy. A lot of the stuff that the bad behavior doesn't even happen on these trips. It happens in his own apartment where he does stuff. But on the trips, right? I mean, you're right. Like you're going someplace you don't know a lot of people. You might not have a lot of allies around you. And he has used his position as the tour leader. If the tour leader gives you attention, right? I mean, who wouldn't want that attention? That, that can be very like,
alluring,
cool.
Yeah,
very alluring. And then like, let's go to your hotel, especially if it starts off, we're going to go with multiple women or, multiple people.
That's safe.
That seems right. It seems safe, right? As opposed to just you and me, right? Just you and me is a signal, right? It's part of the, it's like a super fast speed grooming process. We're going to bring everybody back and then we'll eventually like everybody will split off. And it's like he's using that kind of attention to build a trust structure that he can then take advantage of, make you feel like, oh, like this is somebody who really cares about me. We really care about you, and that's why we want you to join us on Patreon.
Oh, God. Wow. It is so hard to go to the business section during conversations like this.
I was tap dancing for the last 5 minutes thinking, how am I going to do this?
Nice job, though, Kevin.
Yeah.
That was as tasteful as it possibly could have been.
Yeah, we love you all, and we won't leave you with blue balls.
Oh,
no.
Cut
that out. Cut that out. That was his line.
No,
hey,
keep it.
Balls? Yeah,
No.
okay. And if you join us at patreon.com/Partners in Crime Media, you'll get all sorts of exclusive content. First of all, your sponsorship of us, your patronage, keeps this podcast going. It keeps us healthy. It allows us to pay all the bills and to make sure that Toby goes on all of his Moroccan trips from Spain. He's able to do that.
I was looking into that, actually. Before we even watched this, I was thinking about going to Tangiers.
Well, not anymore. If you join us at the leading off level, you get things like the Crime Writers on After Show, Toby Ball's Deep Dive Book Club podcast, Married with Podcast, The Advice Show, Something's Off, Rebecca Lavoie and Mel Barrett's True Crime Podcast. We also have Laura Bricker's Leave It to Bricker podcast. And don't forget, you can join us as a deep diver and be an official sponsor of Toby Ball's Deep Dive Book Club podcast. Another way to support us is to check out our Amazon storefront. You guys you heard of Amazon?
Yes.
Yeah, not the Amazon. Amazon, it's a website.
It's a website where you buy books.
You can do all sorts of things there. Yeah, you can buy books, but you also can check out some of our favorite things. So, Rebecca, what are this week's Amazon recommendations?
Well, Kevin, it's very topical.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that I did not use today that I clearly should have used.
Mm-hmm.
That's my new favorite drug, Lactaid. And you can buy giant vats of it, giant bottles of hundreds of pills of Lactaid, because anyone who has to take Lactaid, as I have now learned I must do with pretty much every meal, you need to take 3 of them with your first bite of food. So thank you, Lactaid. And thank you, Amazon, for sending to me so quickly.
Oh, yeah. Boy, that sounds like the kind of scintillating yet mundane product that we usually find in Toby Ball's Deep Cut recommendations.
Yes.
Toby, what are your listener-inspired Deep Cut recommendations this week?
So the theme for this week is things that you would have a hard time finding to buy in Valencia. So
okay.
First one is 2-pack outdoor faucet covers for winter freeze protection. 8.5 inches times 5.9 inches times 1.9 inches. Thicker hose bib insulation cover, waterproof and frost-free outside spigot cover. So you don't have to worry about water freezing, and then you can't find shit in inches because we do the metric system here.
Yeah, but like, don't you just turn off the water inside instead of putting a cover on the outside of the hose?
That's what I would do. But anyway, it's nice to know that if I don't do that kind of stuff, there's a product that I can buy from Amazon that will take care of it for me.
Good to know.
All right, here we go. Number 2, Ice Trax V3 tungsten crampons, ice cleats for shoes and boots, ice grips for snow and ice non-slip shoe grippers with reflective heel. I actually own these, but I did not bring them to Valencia for the simple fact that there's no point in having them because it doesn't get icy.
So they in storage?
I hope so. I don't know. We've got a lot of shit in storage. I don't know exactly what or where different things would be if I had to find them, but things got a little crazy.
Toby, when you come back someday, we should take our video camera and come over as you explore in your storage unit and discover what you kept and what you didn't.
I'm sure there's some surprising stuff in there.
You're going to find some like half-used rolls of toilet paper, but you won't have any shoes, something like that.
I tell you, one thing that is there is like the last like load that we brought over, I was just soaked from head to toe in sweat. I was just carrying stuff upstairs or whatever. And I had this shirt and I was just like, I'm just leaving this shirt in this thing. So I like hung it over something, closed, locked, and left. So there's a shirt that
it's a petri dish now.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
gonna smell amazing.
It's gonna be awesome. Yep.
Oh God.
So
you need to pay somebody $20 to go to your storage locker, open up and get rid of it.
Ask one of my friends, hey, can you go check out my storage unit? I think I left this shirt.
You'll know what it is.
I left this shirt. Can you send it to me?
Oh,
wow.
Yuck.
Okay, well, you can actually get good stuff, too. Amazon.com/shop/Crime Writers On. We earn commissions on qualified purchases.
Kevin, before we end the business section, do we have any Patreon patron saints of the week this week?
Our Patreon patron saints are Jackie McCarthy and Barbara O'Brien.
Hey.
Bless you.
Barbara O'Brien.
Jackie and Barbara. It's so wonderful that you support the show. Thank you so much for doing so. Without you patrons.
They've been doing it for a million years, too.
Yeah.
Barbara was on
We
Deep
couldn't
Dive
make this
last
podcast
night.
without you. Oh, she was?
Yes.
Barbara. Good for Barbara, helping us make content and supporting the podcast. Kevin, does thus end our business section?
Thus ends the business section.
Let's go ahead and fade that music out.
Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie. One thing I've learned is that you buy a house, but you make it a home. For decades, Angie's helped millions of homeowners hire skilled pros for the projects that matter. Angie, the one you trust to find the ones you trust. Find a pro for your project at Angie.com.
And now, the next chapter of the Serta Counting Sheep.
Hey, Uncle Number One, why aren't we counting anymore?
Let me tell you a story. Long ago, Sert invented the perfect sleeper mattress.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. It says the all-new Serta Perfect Sleeper with the Q4 support system has 4-in-1 perfectly interlinked coils that help relieve aches and back pain for perfect sleep night after night.
We'll never get counted again.
Nope.
Serta, we make the world's best mattress.
You know that thing where you get an amazing pair of shoes at a really great price and want to tell everyone about it? Yeah, so do we. Here at Designer Shoe Warehouse, we'll give you something to brag about. Like the latest styles from brands you love, or the trends everyone's obsessing over, or shoes that make you feel like, well, you. So go ahead, show off a little. Find shoes that get you at prices that get your budget. Head to your DSW store or DSW.com today. DSW, let us surprise you.
So I want to talk about something that happens. Cliffhanger after episode 1. We hear that somebody believes that this guy has killed their daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin, do you think that theory bears out after we learn more about the circumstances there?
Well, I mean, it's a troubling outlier in his pattern of crimes, right? I mean, one thing is he doesn't have like a documented history of violence, I mean, beyond sexual assault. But we do know that he gets women blackout drunk, right? So it just seems to me like the odds were greater that this woman got drugged and she was just so incoherent and so paralytic drunk or on roofies or whatever that she just didn't realize where she was going and went over the edge.
Yeah.
But I mean, regardless, I think he's still responsible for that death.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why there weren't a lot of consequences. But can I point out one other thing that came out of that discussion is that there's a big clue here because the police did do a little bit of investigation and they took his blood. and he had a 0.0 alcohol level, right? His BAL was 0.0. Does that raise flags when they've apparently been drinking all night?
Yes.
One has got so drunk that she fell over, and I forget what they checked her blood level, right? It reminds me very much of like there was a coworker of mine who was rumored to have been like buying shots for women, but he paid the bartender to make his shot was water.
Who was that?
I'm not going to point fingers or anything
Will you
like
tell
that.
me after?
It was, sure, I'll tell you afterwards. But like, not actually drinking sort of has been this guy's move before. So, I mean, just that seems like, oh, okay, he did it in this case and we have that evidence. That may be his modus operandi, because you can't be pounding drinks and shots the way these women were and you also be like completely functional to do these horrible things.
Laura, that struck you as sus as well, right?
Yeah, no, I thought that was super interesting because nobody noticed that and mentioned it about him, because he was always like the life of the party, and everywhere they went, he knew the bartender and he knew all the people there, and he was always out in the photos, and you assume he's partying it up with the rest of them. So that particular detail, when you hear that, you're like, especially because he ordered the champagne in the room in that first scene that you see with Gabby. I think that was very telling. But I agree. I understand where that mother's coming from, because I totally would have been like, this dude is totally responsible because if my daughter wasn't with him in this situation, she would be alive. But it's a really, really hard scenario as a parent to hear something like that and to hear that your child was essentially in an alcohol coma. Like there's no way that she could have even been standing. How the hell did she fall off a balcony and die? And it's a really, really tragic situation. I think it just highlights the bigger pattern of what was going on here. And I think those tests were pretty remarkable. That was where I stopped. I was like, 0. Not even like 0.01, 0.
Right.
So he knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah. So, Toby, can we talk about Gabrielle's, I don't even want to call them friends, these women who testified during her trial, basically saying the rape was her fault and kind of not corroborating her story in any way. Did that surprise you?
I guess I didn't really have any expectation going in, but it did kind of surprise me how bluntly they said it. So the story was that Manu was in the shower and they were all fully dressed, apparently, taking a shower together, which in and of itself seems a little odd. But in the courtroom scene where she's brought in to sort of confirm Gabrielle's story, she's like, I don't know. We ducked out of there because Gabrielle seemed like she wanted to hook up with them. Essentially, it was not in so many words. So it's kind of throws her under the bus isn't quite the right term, but the equivalent of it in that situation.
It was shitty.
And the same thing happens again with Lauren, the young woman who fell off the roof. Is the other young woman who was there, like, kind of covers it up for Manu a little bit and sort of says, I was inside with him when it happened. We came out and this had happened. And then somebody, I can't remember who it is, says, well, I don't know if she's lying, but I'm sure she's trying to keep herself in the best possible light in like a not very good situation. So you do get a chance to see that contrasted with the other woman we were talking about earlier, whose friends like call her up. And when he's like, oh no, she's fine, she's with me. And they're like, yeah, I think we're going to swing by and pick her up. It's just a different sort of sense of responsibility for people. But that was sort of, if you look at these things as being like dramas, like that's the bottoming out point, right? It's when Gabrielle's like sitting there listening to this person who she knew basically trying to undermine all this work that she's done to bring this guy to justice. It's like, okay, this is the most devastating possible piece of testimony that could come out, and basically saying, oh no, you hooked up with them, like, and now you have regrets or something.
Yeah.
Was the implication. But like so many like fiction movies, you hit the bottom and you get all worried and then everything turns out fine in the end. I guess it would be just disappointing. And I kind of wonder what that woman was kind of like trying to process, to make her do that on the stand. Cause it doesn't really feel like she's in any jeopardy for anything.
Right.
I mean,
I have a theory. I feel like I know why.
I have a theory too.
Can I?
Should have stuck around.
I'm a lady. No. So what happens is, well, our memories aren't memories. They're memories of our memories, right? So if at the time the perception was, excuse my language, but this is how people used to talk and still do, but really used to, like in college and stuff, like, she's a slut because she slept with that guy, right? Mm-hmm. Your memory of your memory of your memory of your memory just keeps reinforcing that. She didn't report the rape at the time. And what they are not taking into account is there is zero incentive for somebody to report a sexual assault years after it happened. Zero. There's very little incentive to do it at the time, obviously. The very, very, very rare outlier where it's a false report to, I don't know, get revenge or something that's exceedingly rare. But reporting it years later against somebody that you don't see every day, don't know, aren't in jeopardy from being, this person lived in another country. What is the incentive there? So that she could go on Megyn Kelly and tell her story? Disgraced Megyn Kelly, who only had that show, by the way, because she was fired from her gig she left Fox because she was sexually harassed by Roger Ailes. She went to the Today Show. They gave her this show thinking that she was going to be a, reformed person. And then she was fired from the show that we saw Gabrielle on because she said that Santa Claus had to be white. Like, that's literally Megyn Kelly's story. Mm-hmm. So, like,
I have my theory.
Her legacy is tied to Megyn Kelly. Like, what is the incentive? And I just think that these women, they remember their memory of their memory of their memory, and in their memory of their memory of their memory, Gabrielle was a slut. Yeah,
but I mean, I also, like, two things there. Like, whatever you're processing in that minute, you are also
complicit.
No, not complete. You are also inebriated.
Yeah,
all right,
true.
And may have also been drugged, or some of it is your choices, and some of it isn't. And so you're trying to process the behavior of somebody who's also drugged and like trying to read different things. I mean, But I would so you could say, well, yeah, you also walked into the shower with him. You also could be under the same kind of influence. Someone might read that about you, and that isn't true. You should give the same grace to Gabrielle. But I also wonder if I were in the position of trying to come to terms with the fact that I left my friend behind to get raped. Like, I don't know if I would want to accept that. I think it might be natural to be like, no, that isn't what happened.
Maybe.
I wouldn't want to live with that. But I don't know. Or it could just also be you're a horrible person. Who knows?
Maybe, Laura, but isn't this sometimes a product, too, of people not wanting to get involved? So they cement the story in their head that's like is not helpful because then they don't become part of the story.
Right. And I think it's, like you were saying, it's a little, I hate to use this kind of crass, but it's like slut shaming. It's like, now I can absolve myself of having any responsibility because she was a slut anyway and she was going to do it. And I just thought it was super shitty. When they went on the stand and were like, no, she was into him. And like she went in the bathroom with him and she was into him. I was like, I started to get a little nervous about the outcome of this trial because I could see it from the perspective of, a defense attorney of like, okay, this was reported after the fact. There was no rape kit done. There was no, toxicology type work done. And now we have somebody, and she was, impaired at the time that this happened. I could see where they could say, this isn't going to stick. And then when these other girls got up and said that, I was like, okay, I'm not going to spoil this. I'm going to wait and see. And then I was very relieved that there was an outcome. Because I don't know. I don't know what the standard is in Spain. I don't know compared to here how this is going to play out. And to hear those other girls not stand by her, well, other women now, I was kind of like, really? Okay.
I think the standard might be that if the judge makes a sourpuss, you could be guilty.
Yeah. I will say, though, for the benefit of this documentary, it is sort of a lot of like, let's go back and talk about stuff. But then we do get sort of a present day thing. So we get to follow Gabrielle as she's going through the process. So we get like a very visceral, real-time reaction to all of that because the documentarians are there. And they're also in the courtroom chasing down Manuel as he's trying to hide his face beneath the umbrella.
Yeah.
Good move.
Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie. When you use Angie for your home projects, you know all your jobs will be done well. Roof repair? Done well. Kitchen sink install? Done well. Deck upgrades? Done well. Electrical upgrade? Done well. Angie's been connecting homeowners with skilled pros for nearly 30 years, so we know the difference between done and done well.
Angie, the one you trust to find the ones you trust. Find a pro for your project at Angie.com.
This is a Monday.com ad. The same Monday.com helping people worldwide getting work done faster and better. The same Monday.com designed for every team and every industry. The same Monday.com with built-in AI, scaling your work from day one. The same Monday.com that your team will actually love using. The same Monday.com with an easy and intuitive setup. Go to Monday.com and try it for free. Yes, the same Monday.com.
At DSW, we ask the important questions, like, what shoes are you going to wear? Whether you're prepping for wedding season, festival season, or just planning the ultimate vacay, the right shoes can make or break an RSVP. So own the moment. You've got big plans, and we've got just the shoes. At the perfect price, of course. Get ready to get ready with Designer Shoe Warehouse. Head to your DSW store or DSW.com today and let us surprise you.
And now, the next chapter of the Serta Counting Sheep.
Hey, Uncle Number One, why aren't we counted anymore?
Let me tell you a story. Long ago, Serta invented the perfect sleeper mattress.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. It says the all-new Serta Perfect Sleeper with the Q4 support system has 4-in-1 perfectly interlinked coils that help relieve aches and back pain for perfect sleep night after night.
We'll never get counted again.
Nope.
Serta, we make the world's best mattress.
All right, let's do what we do. Let's let our listeners know, should they check out The Predator of Seville on Netflix? Laura Bricker, thumbs up or thumbs down for this docuseries?
Yeah, I'm going to go thumbs up on this. This was kind of like what I call like kind of a standard true crime retelling. But I think what sets it apart is the protagonist in this show, Gabrielle, was somebody that you could really identify with and root for. And look at the amount of perseverance and work she put into on this case to bring this out into light and tell the story in a way that I was like, I didn't know anybody could swear as much as I did. Clearly, she can swear more than I can swear. And I liked that they didn't bleep that out. They left her authentic self in this documentary. I think this was done from a perspective, like a victim-centric retelling, where we hear from a lot of the women that were involved in this. And, you know, at the end of the day, yeah, this wasn't something that's like, wow, this is like the most out-of-the-box thing I've ever seen. But it was a really, I think, just kind of a standard true crime story. But the protagonist at the heart of it is what really set it apart for me. I think somebody else as the narrator would not have been as compelling. And I think she was a very compelling and relatable host. And seriously, I related to her. She was going to be a mule. She was very tough. She was very perseverant. She was going to be stubborn. I'm like, I can relate to you, Gabrielle. Let's hang out. So thumbs up from me.
And beautiful, just like you, Laura.
Oh, yeah.
Toby, thumbs up or thumbs down for The Predator of Seville?
Yeah, I think I'm a thumb sideways for this. This just feels like a sort of middle-of-the-road documentary to me. I agree with Laura that sort of the best thing it has going for it is Gabrielle, and I think she's a good storyteller. She is a compelling person. She's did just a tremendous amount of work, took the weight of basically 50 women's victimization on her own shoulders, and tried to make it right. So, but at the same time, it just felt like, you know, it kind of felt like a little bit of a plug and play. It's like, you know, we know the beats, we know what people we have to have in it, we know how to structure it. You know, there's the comeuppance at the end, and there's the low moment, and there's, you know, some recreation. It just kind of hits all these notes that you see in all these documentaries. It just feels very much like 1 out of 40 that we've watched. So that being said, I mean, it doesn't suck, but it just feels very formulaic. And it is one of those things where it's just like, you're just kind of waiting around for details because you kind of know how things are going to play out and you're not surprised. So anyway, I am absolutely 50 out of 100, thumb sideways, right down the middle.
Kevin Flynn.
Yeah, I'm a mild thumbs up. I agree sort of with all of Toby's observations about the aesthetic of this. You know, it really seems like a typical true crime series with recaps, and we have sit-down interviews with victims and recreations and things like that. But for some reason, this works better than others to me. And I think it's because it is so tightly edited and it's very victim-centric without being performative in that way, or virtue signal-ish, where it just lets some people who are better than others at explaining their truth and telling it in a way that translates to the camera in a way that you can make a propulsive true crime story out of it. That way, I thought it set itself apart because of those things. Gabrielle is fantastic. We didn't even get to talk about the people who start off doing all their interviews in Spanish, and then you find out that they've been speaking English, and it's like, what the actual fuck? That was the performative part.
They were showing off.
They're showing off. It's like, there was no need to do that. Absolutely no need to do that. But, I thought, it was good. I definitely was looking at it thinking like, oh, this is going to be very much like every other thing. But it had a little bit of substance to it, something that carried it more than other similar true crime retrospectives.
Yeah, I'm a thumbs up. And so we just reviewed a podcast on Monday that had a lot of us asking the question, like, who is this for, right? And this is clearly for a true crime audience. This is for people who like to watch documentaries about true crime. They watch every true crime thing that comes out. And while that may not be me, I watch a lot of true crime things for this podcast and for my other job. A lot of people do. And this is much better than a lot of things in that genre. So for that reason, like, I didn't dislike watching it. I wanted to watch the next episode. When you stopped one, I wasn't like, oh God. So yeah, I have to give it a thumbs up. The real magic sauce here, there's two pieces of magic sauce. One is the Bozeman, Montana setting. Listen, I know people who live in Montana hate Bozeman because they think it's like cosplaying Montana. Bozeman's awesome. And I just seeing those views was really lovely. But second was Gabrielle herself, the whole reason we were in Bozeman. The protagonist in this story is compelling, smart, really articulate in a very profane way that I super enjoyed. And the directors did a service to her story by letting her tell it the way she wanted to tell it. And, not getting the standard true crime shots that are designed to try to make the viewer cry. Like, I really like that about it. So yeah, for that reason, it's definitely a higher on the scale of sort of mid true crime stuff for me. So I think the people who like mid true crime stuff will super like this. All right, that's going to do it for us. But before we go, Laura Bricker, do we have a cat of the week this week?
We do. Our cat of the week this week comes to us from our listener, Audrey Stadler.
Hi, Audrey.
Audrey sent in her two cats, Oliver, who's 13, and Duke, who's 11. They're like giant Maine Coon looking kind of cats. Oliver was recently diagnosed with diabetes. He's doing well on medication, and he's snugglier than ever. He now sleeps on the pillow above my head, just like my cat, Rocky Flintstone. They love each other, tolerate each other, and they take their job as bathroom monitors very seriously. And I can totally relate to this because my cats have zero boundaries. Like, I think the door is closed, and the next thing, here's a cat staring at me. And I'm like, wow, seriously? It's like when you had a toddler who had no boundaries around bathrooms. So I can relate to that sort of shared experience of cat ownership. Thank you for sending that in, Audrey.
I saw a sign on Etsy that I super wanted to buy for the bathroom that said, "Welcome to our bathroom. A dog will be with you shortly." Because that's my life. Like, you can't go to the bathroom and not have a giant head bust in the door and want to see exactly what you're doing. All right, Laura Bricker, if folks want to reach out to you and submit any animal, pop culture animal, their animal, to be cat of the week, how can they find you online?
You can find me at Laura Bricker on Instagram and Blue Sky.
What about you, Toby? You don't live in this country anymore, but you can still be found online, right?
I sure can at TobyBall603 on Instagram, at TobyBallNH on Blue Sky.
What about you, Kevin?
I'm at Kevin P. Flynn.
You can follow me everywhere, X, Instagram, everywhere, at Reb Lavoie. Follow the show everywhere at Crime Writers On, but I mostly encourage you to join our incredible Facebook community. Find our Facebook page, there's a link there to join our group. We'll let you in if you literally know any of the four of our names. You just need to know one name, and we'll let you in. Get episodes early and ad-free and everything else we make at patreon.com/Partners in Crime Media. Our theme song was composed and performed by Tyler Gibbons, and our editor is the wonderful Livy Burdett. The EP of this show is My Husband, Kevin. This show was recorded in the Caitlin Rogers Project Studio, also known as Studio C, the closet in our New Hampshire basement, where we also conduct half our interviews in a foreign language just to show off, That's what we do.
That's how we roll.
On behalf of all the crime writers, thanks so much for listening. We will catch you later.
What are your listener-inspired deep cut recommendations this week?
All right, just a second. In my generally accidentally trashing my office to let the cat out, I lost my spot where I had these things mapped out, and I have like a whole...
oh, yes, he has a complex process. Who knew?
I don't, but this time I happened to find two things right next to each other that fit into a theme.
Okay. Like a This American Life episode, but for Amazon shit.
Yes. Where is the fucking thing? God damn.
It's on Amazon.
Motherfucker.
Sounds like an outtake to me.
I'm trying to impress you guys with my swearing because
That's right.
That's right.
apparently worked for that.
It's a sign of intelligence.
Can you
worked for
control
Gabrielle. Yeah, I'm just trying to remember what one of the words was. I think maybe frozen.
Partners in Crime Media.
Why have we asked our contractor we found on Angie.com to be our kids' legal guardian? Because he took such good care when redoing our basement that we knew we could trust him to care for our kids.
We only met a month ago. Angie, the one you trust to find the ones you trust. Find pros for all your home projects at Angie.com.
Close your eyes. Focus. Listen to work getting done with Monday.com. Relax as AI does the manual work, while your teams are aligned on a single source of truth. Feel the sensation of an AI work platform, so flexible and intuitive, it feels like it was built just for you. Notice you're limitless. Now open your eyes, go to Monday.com, start for free, and finally, breathe.